Going to have you lead.
Well, good evening. I'm glad you guys can join us this week. Once again, I'm Carlos Millsap with my co-host Brad Stewart, and we are Wealth Made Easy for you. We're glad that you guys are with us this evening. How are you doing today, Brad?
Excellent. A little warm out here, but loving the Southern California sunshine.
Yeah, can't be mad about that at all, can you?
Not compared to some of the other stuff that's going on.
Yeah. I tell you, when it comes to weather, one thing that we know for sure is that we can be spoiled here in Southern California.
That's a fact.
We don't have to deal with a lot of the different seasonal changes. We can kind of get summer any time of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I had some family in town over the weekend from Colorado, and they mentioned that just a couple weeks ago they had some snow out of no place come up and hit them, and it wasn't
Man, I heard.
bad, but you got cold temperatures when you got snow, so
Yeah.
not anything like what we're used to dealing with out here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I tell you, we have some very interesting topic to speak about this evening, and I think that as we talk to people as they get ready to retire, they kind of have a false sense of security when it comes to their money and how long it's actually going to last throughout retirement. Um, and so what we try to do is we want to try to get them an idea of some of the things that could potentially happen when it comes to retirement. And so, Brad, you have been talking about risk, and so that's one of the things we want to kind of dig into a little bit tonight.
Well, we've been covering a lot of different types of risks that people are faced with as they get ready to retire, and in their planning stages and all this other kind of stuff. Tonight we wanted to continue in that department, but we also now tonight want to talk about something that most of you probably haven't heard about before, and we wanted to give you kind of introduce you to the whole idea of a risk that is not typically discussed by a lot of retirement professionals. It's a more obscure risk that usually is talked about after it's become an issue. So today, let's talk about sequence of return risk. Um, have you talked with very many people, Carlos, on sequence of return risk that you come across?
Well, here's a crazy thing, Brad, is that when I'm talking to people and they tell me that they have a financial advisor, one of the things that I ask them is that has your financial advisor spoke to you about sequence of return? And they go, what is that? So uh, I try to talk to them about it, but most of them have no idea what it is.
Right, right. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because it's also called sequence risk, and typically it kind of covers kind of a 10-year span in the big picture, but it's definitely one of those type of things that it starts when you're probably in that last 5-year window before you retire, as far as the potential of it occurring, and continues probably for another 5 years once you get into retirement. Again, we're talking about the potential of it happen. A lot of people have gone into retirement, never had it touch them at all, never had to experience or anything else like that. But I think it bears our attention tonight only because of the fact that it can really affect and hurt you down the road. So I think that the biggest thing as we move forward on this is recognizing that, say you're in that 5 years going down, getting ready to retire in 5 years, and you're entering that red zone, what we call the red zone. And it's a critical time when you got to be hitting on all 8 cylinders on your retirement plan. And all of a sudden you find out that this thing that you didn't even know existed gets you. And when it bites you, it can bite you real hard. And it's sequence of return risk. And essentially all it is, what it is, it's a series of negative market returns in your savings plan that leaves you with little or no time at all to be able to rebuild the losses in your retirement savings. I mean, everybody knows that the market goes up, moves up and moves down over time, just in cycles. And the unfortunate part is we have absolutely no control over it. We have no control whatsoever ever under or over the market. So when you get hit with one of these in that last 5-year period, all of a sudden you're going, wait. My plans are I'm retiring in 5, 4, 3. Think back, say you were getting ready to retire in 08 or 09, and all of a sudden the market takes a major downturn in late 07 into 08. Now what do you do? We talked about it before. You're affected by what is market risk, but now it's a sequence because all of a sudden you're ready to pull the trigger, and you can't pull the trigger for sure because you have no way to replenish a way to be able to make that happen as far as rebuilding the numbers and the money that you've lost. So when you get those kinds of situations, it can hurt, and it can also carry on into the first few years of your retirement. All of a sudden, again, if you were 08, you just retired in 07, all of a sudden you're sitting there looking on the potential, if you left your money in the market where it's at risk, you could potentially be looking at, in those days, of having lost upwards of 50% of your portfolio money. Not a happy place to be in. Did you have any people in your practice, Carlos, that experienced that?
Well, fortunately, we haven't had anybody experiencing any losses. So,
did you know anybody that was in that position, though? Did
absolutely.
you deal with any potential clients that you were working with?
You know what? I believe so. I'm trying to remember right off the top of my head if I can remember any specific scenario. How about yourself?
Yeah, I had a guy who was an engineer, ready to pull the trigger. He ended up working for another 5 years just to be able to. He overfunded his 401k.
Yeah.
Did everything he could to rebuild what he had lost in a situation that he had absolutely no control over in the losses. He doubled down and put everything he could back into the market, and in an effort to try to rebuild it and make it strong again.
Yep. Well, we had a client in common that right before the pandemic hit, and
that's right.
He should have pulled the trigger, but he didn't.
Yep. And unfortunately, we really don't even know what happened with him.
Yeah. So Rosemary Fletcher said that she had one or two of this kind of person, so she has some experience about that.
There you go.
So people,
there you go.
It's a common story, and the last thing that you want to do is get to the end of or getting ready to retire and lose a lot of your money. And so, Brad, you wanted me to show this, kind of giving people the idea of what the sequence of returns look like. So let me pull this up for us here.
There we go.
Let's go here.
Just to kind of intro this is just going to give you an example of what this might look like when you compare retiring during an up market or retiring during a down market. Gives you kind of a picture of what that could potentially look like. And it's if you look at this chart, just to give you an idea,
Let me take this banner off of it.
Okay. The column of the investor that is retiring at the beginning of an up market, you can see that he starts out with $100,000 and he's going up, and but he's also taking withdrawals because he's in retirement. So he's pulling 5,000 out, but he's also earning, noticeable numbers in interest. And as it goes up, things are looking great on his returns. And when it's all done, after 15 years, it started out with $100,000. At the end of 15 years, he's got almost 106,000, but he's taken $5,000 a year out to supplement his income, and that includes the losses, the gains, but he has an average return every year of approximately 4%. Jump over to the other column and look at that, and what do you see? You see a guy that starts out, I'm retiring at the beginning of a downturn, and you see over on the far right of the right-hand column, he has a minus 5% on his return. He has a minus 6, minus 15, a minus 8, a minus 4. His $100,000 after 5 years is down to just a little over $45,000. Talk about getting your teeth knocked out early in retirement. This is going to be really a painful thing. How do you recover? How do you make a comeback on this? And at the end of 15 years, even though he's averaged a 4% return, it's not his actual return, but it's his average return. Look at the difference in the final numbers. He only has just shy of $36,000 left out of that $100,000, whereas the investor on the right-hand side ended with almost 106,000. Now, both of them took out the same amount of money every year. And the one thing we'll tell you right now is if you look at the columns, the interest rates are, as far as the returns, are identical. But what we did was we flip-flopped them upside down so that you can see that the investor on the left had losses towards the end, whereas the investor on the right had the same losses, but that's how he started his retirement, was losing money. So when you look at that, there's a very, very noticeable difference, even though they did average 4% return. And again, that's not actual return, that's average return. And the difference in their portfolio balance is quite noticeable.
Yeah, it is. It's really dramatic to be able to see the difference and in the change of the sequence, especially when you start taking that money out. And that's one of the things that we're really trying to drive home today is for you guys to just understand that just because you start out one way doesn't mean it's going to end up that way. You have to start to make some changes in order to protect your money. They call, we call it the retirement red zone when you're getting close to retiring, but they call the first 5 years and the second 5 years your fragile 10, because those years could make or break you. And so we want to make sure that you guys are understanding what needs to be done in order to protect your nest egg. You work 30 years or somewhere in that range to be able to accumulate that amount of money. Therefore, you need to be able to have that money last you for a lifetime.
Well, and I think one of the things that it illustrates also is the fact that, earlier last week we talked about market risk. Again, something we have absolutely no control over is what's going to happen in the market. And, you're not just dealing with sequence of return, you're dealing with market risk. And you have no control of whether the market's going to be up at the end of the year, down at the end of the year, whatever your anniversary date might be. But when it's all said and done, your portfolio can suffer dramatically from continued losses, especially at the beginning of your retirement or just those last few years prior to you going into retirement. And I think that's one of the big things that needs to be aware. You need to be aware of. You want to know what the risks are that coming at you, and that's why we want you to be familiar with this before you even get to that place of knowing what's going on. One of the questions down here was, is it even possible to make a comeback?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I saw that. And see, here's the thing, and that's the whole thing. Hope we're saying your name, Osrin. Osrin, one of the things is that one of the big problems is this: how much time do you have at the end, or when these losses occur? That's a thing that we don't know. So if you're 65, you're ready to retire, and now you've had all those series of losses, you're not able to put that money back into the stock market. So therefore, you don't have enough time to make up that money. So you may not have enough time to make a comeback. And the other question is, when you get towards the end like that, do you want to have to make a comeback? No, you don't. You want to be able to make sure that your money is safe. So it's better to make a wise decision and put your money into something that's safe versus trying to wonder if there's time to make a comeback.
Right, exactly. And I think it's really, it becomes an urgent type situation that people recognize, even though the market's going gangbusters, the market can turn on a dime. And,
absolutely.
Nobody saw the 2008 deal coming. The market had finally just gotten back to where it had been before the big crunch right after the turn of 2000. And it was a very, very painful experience. But when you don't know that it's coming, it's going to get you. So what we recommend is that you do the wise thing and reconfigure how you do things. Rethink.
Absolutely.
Rethink your thinking and make a big difference. And so for us, that's why we consider, want you to consider the guarantees, the growth, the safety, liquidity, and control of having a plan that's anchored in the infinite banking concept with what Carlos and I do here at Wealth Made Easy for you. It makes a difference, because unless you're a gambler, and I'll add a professional gambler, that's the risk that is going to be facing you should that happen to you.
Yep, absolutely. So Shelby Johnson, she said that's a serious issue because market can't be controlled, and then we have nothing in our hands. Exactly. And so Peter, what Shelby's basically saying, the same thing we're saying, is that you can't control the market. If you have your money in the market, and there's a loss that's going to occur, and one of the things that we can show you that sequence of return that we just showed you just kind of flip flop when you got your gains. We can show you if you're taking money out and there's losses that's going to occur, you're still going to lose. So the point becomes, you don't want to lose money when you're drawing down your money from retirement. You want your money to make money. And that's what we're here for. We want to help you guys to make your money safe money. We want you to show you guys how to optimize your retirement income and minimize your tax risk. So what we want you to do is, you'll see that there's a private chat. What we'd like for you to do is to type your name, email address, and phone number in the private chat. And we want to send you out a free ebook on infinite banking. But we also want to be able to discuss more further with you guys in regards to sequence of returns. We can, be here to answer any questions that you may have. So
sure.
Please feel free to, at this time, to go ahead and type your name, your email address, and your phone number in the private chat. That way, it's not broadcast out for everybody to have it. And then we will contact you only to answer your questions. We're not going to be spamming you or anything like that. That's not what we do. We only want to talk to people that want to talk to us. And so Michael Smith said these decisions really make a huge difference in our lives. Absolutely. It definitely is going to make a difference in your life because, the thing that we want is as you go into, we want your golden years to be golden and not rusty.
There you go. There you go. You don't want that 401k to become a 201k.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're done working and you're ready to retire. We want you to be able to enjoy your retirement and all the dreams that you've put together over the years. That's going to require protecting your money and doing the right thing to make sure it's going to be there when you need it.
Absolutely. So once again, we've come to the end of our broadcast. We will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we have some pretty interesting things to talk to you about. And so let me ask you this, Brad, this question. If you had $2 billion, you would think that that's enough money for it to last not only for your family, but also for generations to come. Wouldn't you?
You said billion with a B?
With a B, yes.
Yeah, I would think that I could be comfortable. Yes. And my family could be comfortable. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about some families that had something that's equivalent to, billions of dollars, whether it's a 2 billion or 1 billion. But what one family was able to hold on to their wealth and another one wasn't. What we want to find out tomorrow night is what was the difference between those families. So you make sure that you're here for it tomorrow to check that out. I'm Carlos Millsap, and I'm glad that you guys were with us tonight.
Hey, Brad Stewart signing off here. Thanks for being with us, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow. Make sure you join us tomorrow. You're going to really enjoy tomorrow's show.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye for now.
Good night now.